We'll find out now over on our caster desk.
Thank you so much. Confident words coming out there from Impaler. 3-0 Infused on the grounds that Alfari's eaten. We'll see if he's had his breakfast this morning as we head into this a little bit of a surprise final here. El Clasico between FM Esports and Team Infused. Our first seed and our third seed in this tournament. My name is Munchables, and guiding us through the action once more will be X-Scoundrel. How are you doing, man?
As always, pretty damn fantastic. I'm so excited after that last set of series. I mean, it was amazing to see FM come up against all the criticism and the sort of, I guess, expectations of them. Expectations of them were low. I think they had low expectations of themselves. But this is huge. I mean, this is a team that has taken basically a retired player, put him in a role that he's never played competitively before, and stomped arguably one of the strongest teams in the UK.
Yeah, I mean,
go figure.
The most gentle prediction towards FM in that last series was 2-1 to choke from anyone, really. And FM taking the series 2-0, really proving that they deserve to be in this final.
But I think this is a whole different beast. And that beast specifically is going to be Alfari. Numlocked is a great top laner. Don't get me wrong, Numlocked is a great top laner, but he is behind the meta right now. He just doesn't pick those kind of champions that Alfari picks. You know, Alfari will take the Fiora, he will take the Hecarim, he'll take these kind of carry top lane champions, and that's exactly what he'll do with them. He will carry. Numlocked picked Olaf and he picked Renekton. Yes, he performed pretty well against Billy. You know, he was arguably winning his lane, but he was never in a position where he was single-handedly going to carry the game. Whereas you've always felt when Alfari has played that he has got the potential to single-handedly carry.
Yeah, I mean, every single game that you see Alfari in, I mean, granted, there have all been victories, so everybody is going to look good while they're winning. But there's not been a game where I felt like Alfari's just been carried by his team. He's always got 3 or 4 kills at least to his potentially 1 death. It always feels like he's in the right place at the right time, and he always is doing the damage. But let's take a look at the picks and bans that have been rattled out so far. Lulu, Malphite, and Shen coming out from Infused, and then Dr. Mundo, Tom Kench, and Jax banned away by FM Esports.
So they're taking away 2 of the champions that have Nutri played previously.
Yep.
He's going to have to choose now. Maxwell gets his Lee Sin. Now, we didn't see Maxwell have that yesterday because of the bans that came through from, I think it was Xertus, yeah. So Xertus banned away Lee Sin both times. Maxwell going to first pick that. There is quite a lot open here for FM. Nutri hovering over the Nautilus, but the analyst desk did talk about giving the Janna over to Tundra. He is going to default onto that champion. Soraka was available, but I think knowing Maxlaw, if you pick a Soraka, you're going to go into a very heavy CC bot lane, and I think Maxlaw has the jungle sense and knowledge to be able to camp that out.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we are going to see Lee Sin up against Elise in the jungle. So that jungle matchup that we saw in the last game between FM and Choke, going to be seeing once again Kino locking in that Elise. Now we'll see what Infused are going to answer that one with. So a lot of early jungle pressure, and this is something Maxlaw loves to do. He absolutely loves going for the early pressure. Victor might just be stolen away from Zivis. Tristana is going to be locked in though, very powerful, and the Victor given over to Charlie T.
Yeah, and Charlie T is a very proficient Victor player. He's not only this Echo one-trick pony, he is a really, really good mid laner, and actually he's played Victor quite a lot in the ESL UK Premiership so far. I think it is his second most played champion after Echo, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, so I believe he has played a lot of that already. They're going to take Hoylk, going to get the AD carry Tristana, so that's going to be away from Toaster. They're going to take Diana and Jinx here for FM. So it's a hyper carry bot lane, huge tower pressure, and arguably Zivis is going to be taking that Diana into the mid lane versus the Victor. Now, someone who plays Victor as much as Zivis will know what he really hates playing against in lane, and I imagine Diana is going to be one of those.
Yeah, when you play a champion as much as Zivis has played Victor, he knows precisely what he doesn't want to have to deal with, and he's going to know exactly how to do that to Charlie T. We'll see though, because I mean, Diana is a dramatically different style of champion to Victor. It's a very different playstyle entirely to what Zivis usually does. In fact, I almost feel like Zivis and Charlie T have almost role swapped in their sort of playstyles for this lane.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, taking taking Hecarim into the top lane for Alphari, I think this is going to be very difficult for Nutri. Nutri plays a lot of Gnar. It is probably one of his top played champions that he's been spamming this week since he's moved into that top lane position. But honestly, I think he's going to struggle. I imagine that if we see a lane swap, it will probably be instigated by FM.
Yep.
But I think Infused are going to want to take this into a 1v1 because Alphari is this 1v1 god that, you know, he has been touted as...
I mean, they have no reason not to take
exactly,
the 1v1.
There is no reason not to take the 1v1. They have a good aggressive lane versus a Jinx Janna. Arguably at level 6, it might be difficult to make that Flash Annie combo happen as long as Tundra is quick with his fingers. But, you know, they want to put Alphari in a position where he can just act as if it's a little bit like solo queue. And it is going to make Kino have to either babysit Nutri and draw pressure away from the rest of the map. Now, we saw FM win the last 2 games because they allowed Kino to apply pressure to bot, which got Toaster rolling, and Toaster, obviously, as we know, is arguably probably the strongest carry on the side of FM.
Yeah, and probably the best AD carry in the UK
Probably the best AD carry in the UK in general. So once Kino was able to put the pressure down on bot, Billy was able to stay safe at the top lane. It was so much better for FM. My only issue now is Billy is on Gnar. That is not a champion that works in the same realms of safety as Shen and Malphite. Shen and Malphite are... They suited Billy's playstyle arguably the best out of any champion in the game because he could take damage in lane, sit under turret, farm the minions, and stay pretty safe in general.
Yeah, absolutely. But here we are with the very first game of our finals. It's going to be Team Infused, our first seed, up against FM Esports, our third seed, breaking the games against Choke Gaming earlier today, 2-0. In fact, both teams coming into this final 2-0, but it definitely felt like Infused confidently walked into this final. FM really had to battle for it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say battle, the first game was a battle, but the second game felt like a bit of a stomp. I really do think we are going to see a massive outclass, especially in that top lane. We've talked about it. The analysts have talked about it. I think that is going to be the lane to watch. And already you're seeing a difference in behavior that Infused have picked up you know, at their level 1 strategies. You saw against Exertus, they were deep into the enemy jungle. They were looking for the lane swap because they expected it to happen. Here, they don't want to. They want to go straight for that 1v1. They just want to force it into a normal set of lanes. That's where they feel they can perform their best. And I feel that that's probably the right decision because, you know, we've talked about it. Alphari, he will just get huge amounts of farm. And the difference here is the farm difference is going to be far more effective on Alphari than it was on Numlocked, because Alphari is on a champion that can just roll over the backline of FM.
Yeah, and he's clearly looking to as well, as we just saw him trading with Nutri, proccing his Thunderlord's Decree on Nutri. So very aggressive master. He's coming out on that Alistair Hecarim. I don't know where Alistair came from there. But we'll see if Infused are going to be able to go as crazy as I'm predicting, really. Interesting to see an Annie in the bottom lane as well. It's quite a while since I've seen an Annie support taken.
Annie support, yeah, it's been a little bit out of the meta recently, but I think it's something that can definitely work, especially when you're looking for a flash engage onto that backline that can support Alphari when he's looking to do the same. You know, Alphari will be doing exactly like we saw him do yesterday. He will be there to delete Toaster. And Toaster, I think if you can get rid of him, is going to be the key to success here for Infused. That will literally be their win condition. Get rid of Toaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if they're going to be able to do so. But, I mean, we saw previously, flashes the Howling Gale. Where did the cocoon go from Kino? I didn't even see it.
I don't think it came out. I am actually unsure if FM realized that Arfan hadn't flashed. Because I think they ignored Poyok there.
Yeah. And
went straight on to Arfan. I actually think they thought that he had flashed in that initial engage, but that hadn't happened. And looks like now Maxlaw is making his way to the bot lane.
Yeah.
It's been difficult for Maxlaw so far. He hasn't had much opportunity to make his presence felt in the first 5 minutes. But maybe he can get something down here. There is a ward though, so as soon as he moves up, he will just be wasting his time. And I think he knows it. He's just going to back off.
Now, we are going to see Kino heading towards this mid lane, but again, going to be quite difficult to find anything. When you're trying to gank a Victor, typically that champion isn't going to overextend into the lane too far. Kino going to be backing away, just going to be settling for that Rift Scuttler. So very safe, very slow start from these teams, but actually Infused starting to build up a little bit of a gold lead, 500 gold without a single kill.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, there's a CS differential now coming in the top lane. Alphari managing to just start to win this lane out. I mean, Nutri he's playing very defensively against the Hecarim when he does have that ranged advantage in the mini-Gnar form, because he knows that if he gives Alphari an inch, he will take a colossal mile from him, and that just doesn't need to happen for FM to maintain their win conditions. That just does not need to happen, because you look at the FM composition, they have an AoE teamfight composition with Diana and Gnar, and then they've got the ability to peel for Toaster in the backline, and Toaster will just be that hyper carry. He has, you know, when you pick a Jinx and Janna, you have a good tower pushing composition just in there by itself because of the extra AD and the ramping attack speed that you get. Nutri now the target.
Oh, look at the damage coming out onto Nutri. It's going to be able to stun Alphari. A beautiful flash, but it's not enough. Maxlaw is going to be able to get the smite down. That is Gnar down to the ground, and that is Maxlaw with first blood.
Actually, Nutri had used his Gnar ultimate in an engage with Alphari previously. He had just missed that on screen, so he didn't have it available for that tower dive. Had he had that available, maybe he could have turned it around, but Alphari not managing to pick up the kill will be the only saving grace there. Maxlaw has a little bit of a good start, so hopefully he can now start to be more, I guess, active around the map, and we'll start to see him apply more threat, because good dive onto Nutri, but it hasn't resulted in much. You know, it's just the kill so far, and actually Nutri managing to teleport back to lane means that he's even able to clear that wave up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is going to be a really good start, and a 20 CS lead as well as the assist here for Alphari. And with the Ninja Tabi, he's going to be able to survive the poke from Nutri a little bit better, and as well he's got that sheen, and you saw the initial damage coming out onto Nutri. The second he teleported and galloped into lane, he was able to pretty much just half health Nutri on impact.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what you get when you have a Hecarim with tier 2 boots. He's going aggressive onto Nutri now. Nutri actually doing a decent job of return damage at this point in time, and Nutri wants to go aggressive, but here goes Alphari.
Yeah, Maxlaw is in the top lane as well. The Gnar ultimate is going to be there. Dragon Rage knocks Nutri back towards the lane, and honestly there's nowhere Nutri can go right now. He's slowly but surely just going to bleed out. Alphari going to be donated this kill by Maxlaw, and that is going to be that. Nutri being camped out a little bit here.
Yeah, and actually, despite what we thought previously, where we thought Maxlaw might try and affect... Oh, what's going in the bot lane?
Our fan is in a whole lot of trouble. That's what Toaster gets caught up by the ultimate, but it's not enough. The Mega Death Rocket will finish off the kill. Toaster grabs himself the first kill of the bottom lane.
So Kino sticking to his game plan that he knows has worked in the previous series. He's just focusing that bot, trying to get Toaster into a position where he can carry, because I do think that is the only way FM have a chance of winning this. However, Infused are definitely going for their carry. They're going for Alphari. Interestingly enough, I think Maxwell hasn't had much opportunity just because of lane positioning to make much impact across the map. So he's had no choice but to try and apply threat to that top lane. And actually, to be honest, Billy's made it kind of easy for him. With these engages, he's been pushing up, and it's actually uncharacteristic from what we've seen Billy in the previous series. Billy was sat under his turret, and it's the difference between the champions that have been picked this time for that top lane.
Yeah.
You know, when you pick a Gnar, you have to be kind of a little bit more aggressive. You have to come off your turret a little bit more. Shen and Malphite, because you need the farm. Shen and Malphite don't necessarily need that farm.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be... Oh, actually, we're going to see Ziv's going aggressive. He's got no mana. He can't keep this fight up. Chaos Storm is going to chase him away a little bit. Charlie T going to be more than happy with that trade there. But I really feel like the story of this game, at least so far, is going to be Toaster versus Alphari. Who is going to be the one that can snowball this early lead?
And honestly, there's only one answer for me, and that's Alphari, because Hecarim has everything in his kit to deal with Toaster. Yep. And I don't think, you know, Toaster takes a little bit longer to ramp up than the Hecarim does. Hecarim needs one item and he becomes a mean, lean, destroying machine. And like we said, he spends very little time in that Shetland pony era and goes very quickly towards the stallion that we know Hecarim has been in the past, and that annoyance. So, what are we seeing so far, Munch? I mean, it's a small advantage to Infuse. The first tower of the game also going to go over to them. They're just slowly going for a flash from our fan.
Yeah, flash, but immediately Toaster reacts, uses his own, and is going to pull himself to safety. So Arfan not able to use that Tibbers onto the FM AD carry. And that is going to mean that that summoner I mean, I feel like the summoner from Arfan can potentially be considered a little bit more valuable, just in the way that it denies any engage coming up towards if there's any kind of dragon skirmishes.
Yeah, I mean, getting a flash off Annie is really key because, as Annie Bot, the Annie main and challenger said, he said, the only real way to make Annie work is you have to flash Tibbers in most cases. Either you get good vision denial and get, stuns through that aspect, or you combo from a pick made by your team elsewhere. But Annie herself really only has flash Tibbers. That's the only thing that she can do that is useful. So having that down means they're going to have a bit of a grace period where they know they're going to be safe from that flash Tibbers engage. Like, it's not going to happen under this turret for sure, so they feel pretty safe coming up to and defending it.
Yeah, unless someone just walks too close and just happens to stroll into the default range of it. But that is going to be FM keeping up that tier 1 tower. So far, 2 towers on the board for Infused, 1 in each of the side lanes. And FM just with the 1 in the bottom lane. But it is going to be Infused kicking off this dragon. With them having that tower down in the bottom lane, they've got some decent vision in that FM jungle. And that's going to mean that they know if anyone comes to try and contest.
Interesting enough, the analysts brought up that the Rift Herald hadn't been touched across the entire tournament so far. And that's a really interesting point to me, because I don't think anyone's figured out yet when it is valuable or worth it to take the Rift Herald, because no one's quite sure how to use it properly.
Yeah,
it's a very unique buff. It's like that mini Baron buff, allows you to push turrets a little bit more quickly. But when you're pushing turrets anyway, how much time do you really have to invest in taking the Rift Herald when you could just be spending that time taking the turrets regardless?
Yeah, I think as well it's going to be a lot about map positioning on who can grab that one. But Nutri's looking for the nod, but he gets him in the wrong direction and doesn't get the stun. And now Alfari is jumping into the lineup. Max Law incredibly low, but the Death Rocket is blocked by Alfari. 200 HP as he walks away from this one off and looking for the Tibbers, but he's just not going to be able to find his target. Ziv is incredibly low as well. Tundra having to flash away from this one. Everybody's so low for Infused, and Nutri is looking to try and capitalize, but he just can't find his targets. Charlie T is on the back line though. He's searching for targets, but again, nobody except for Kino going down in that fight.
Oh, that was so close, and I think Toaster, had he waited just a little bit longer or placed ever so slightly different with his Super Mega Death Rocket, he may have even picked up a kill for himself. But very scrappy fight here in that bot lane side of things. And actually, what's really key, and what the analysts brought up, that the mid lane is going to be really important, Ziv is struggling as this Diana versus Charlie T on the Victor. He's losing the 1v1s in the teamfight situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of a matter of as well. Diana is the kind of champion that you have to pretty much one-shot your opponent, and beyond that, you're going to start to lose the trade. You're just waiting for your cooldowns to come back up again. Victor is going to be able to trade a lot more consistently, and we're starting to see that come out. But once Diana starts to get more items, once Zivis ramps up a little bit, he will be able to get those one-shots out, but he might have found himself in a little bit of a pickle. The stun is going to come out, but the flash from Zivis dodges the Sonic Wave and denies any follow-up.
Yeah, he flashed as soon as he saw that Incinerate coming out. He just went free. Go away. And he gets his first blue buff of the game, which will be useful for him because he's definitely needing that. We're noticing a lot of the times that Zivis is running out of mana and is unable to go toe-to-toe in these fights. And look at the vision already. So aggressive from Infused, pushing up, and they're forcing very defensive pink wards from FM as well. FM are on the back foot in this game, and they are definitely struggling.
Absolutely. That's just going to be FM trying to CS as much as possible underneath this tower, trying to deny the push. But when you're against a Tristana, each and every wave, Tristana is going to just slowly but surely chip away at that tower, and with the explosive shot, and once she starts to get some more AD, we're just going to see those towers really start to drop a whole lot quicker.
For sure, and you pick Tristana for this sole reason. Jinx Janna is a great tower pushing combination, but Tristana, for her, in herself, beats them just because explosive shot can be applied to turrets. It just means it's so easy for Infused to step up to that turret, and especially with the threat of the Alfari dive, without Nutri being there to provide the team-wide CC that they need to defend that, they will be able to step up to the turret and get the damage down onto it.
Yeah, they certainly will. And on the other side, we do have a Jinx for FM. So when it comes to tower pushing, they're not exactly going to be lacking in damage. And the rapid fire cannon is going to be the first pick up there for Toaster. Does have the BF sword as well. And we're seeing a very similar build to what we saw I'm trying to think who it was playing the Tristana, but we saw the same Tristana build. I think, in fact, in both games we saw that.
So both Jokerism and Toaster built that Tristana build where you go for an initial bit of AD, and then you try to get a mid-game power spike through the use of Static Shiv. It actually is it was pre 5.23, that Static Shiv build. It's been going on for a very long time. When we saw Tristana's original rework, that was the kind of build that a lot of people started to go for, because Static Shiv just provides her with so much, because she needs that mid-game damage spike. Just because she drops off a little bit. She drops off less than she used to. When the old Tristana, when her explosive shot just did a DOT, she had a huge mid-game lull where she needed the Static Shiv to provide her with the damage. But this time around, it's not as potent now, because actually explosive shot is pretty devastating if you catch it on the right targets.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and especially when it's on those towers as well, because if the enemy team is underneath the tower, the explosion radius is absolutely huge, and it is going to do damage to champions and minions that happen to be walking by. You can pretty much one-shot a minion wave while attacking the tower as Tristana these days.
So Nutri's gone for the Frozen Mallet. I'm not totally sure I like that. In general, you pick Frozen Mallet because it's a 1v1 item, and as a Gnar, you're able to just consistently auto-attack on your mini-Gnar form, slow them down as you're getting a speed increase from your Hyper, and obviously then you get the percentage damage that you get from the 3 stacks also. That's Nutri saying that he kind of wants to 1v1 here, and I don't think that's actually what he wants to do. It's not super useful for a teamfight situation. There are better items. Black Cleaver, for instance, would be probably better overall for a teamfight, and actually maybe even just going into a flat tank would be good. And interestingly enough, because of this situation, you're seeing a different build coming out from Kino, far more defensive than we're used to seeing from him, actually going for the Sightstone to try and give himself that vision, and now going towards what's probably going to be some flat health, maybe even going towards tank, but Alphari...
Oh, there's going to be the Tibbers onto Toaster, and it is going to wipe him off the map. Tundra should be next. The Ignite is ticking. Tibbers will happily tank that tower for a while. Max Law looking for more as Poyok picks himself up a triple kill, and he's not even finished. There's a kill going on to Charlie T. Nutri is going to be able to leap away to safety, but Alphari's not finished. He's actually going to go down. Nutri picks up a double kill. Maybe a little bit of overextension there coming out from the Horsey. But Infused, they're looking to try and take this inhibitor tower. I don't think there's a whole lot Nutri can do about this. He has the Gnar ultimate, but he's stunned up and he is going to go down. There's a 4th kill in the fight for Poyok, the unofficial quadra kill, and it's going to be Infused taking an inhib tower. Yeah,
a couple of mistakes that unfortunately meant, a very aggressive Alphari. So you see here, the flash Tibbers on to 2 huge targets. That is massive, especially since it catches Toaster off guard. And Alphari honestly managing to combo through here. And you can see once Toaster is down, Infused have got literally nothing left in the bank. And there is the exhaust available for Victor, which completely negates the threat from Ziviz. There is no exhaust on the side of Infused. There's nothing to negate any of the threats. Janna took the Ignite, which I'm not entirely sure the reasoning behind that. But you see here, as soon as Toaster's down, Ziviz gets exhausted. There's just nothing for FM left. And actually, they could have got the inhibitor had Alphari maybe not gone so deep onto the Nexus turrets. I don't think that'll bite them. I think at this point in time, Infused are too far ahead to be caught, in my honest opinion. There could be an upset in that situation, but they should be able to push onto this inhibitor fairly readily anyway. So, it's a small mistake, but...
Oh, forcing out the flash from Toaster there, just so confidently jumping forwards with no vision inside the base, but he is not afraid at all right now, and the siege onto the inhibitor begins. I don't think there's anything that FM can do about this one.
Yeah, and actually, they have to wait a very long time now to be able to ramp up. Nutri coming through, he's just lost Mega Gnar.
He's exhausted now, so this is going to be a very difficult fight for them. Maxlaw going in, but the repel from Kino is going to keep him safe. Look at the death rate damage, though. Nutri going to be focused down, and in the meantime, Ziviz is off to the side in a 1 versus 3. Maxlaw being chased on out. He will go down, but it's so far a 2-for-1. Kino now being focused by Poyok. He'll be knocked back by the Howling Gale, but it's just not enough to defend the inhibitor. Infused again trading 2-for-1 and taking an inhibitor.
Yeah, I think everyone's too healthy to be caught out by a Super Mega Death Rocket as well. Here it comes, and I think it's going to miss everybody. There we go.
Rip.
But, at this point in time, it's so difficult for FM to win these team fights because they can't deal with Alphari. You know, he can just dive onto that back line. Nutri, unfortunately, because of the build, means that he isn't going to be able to survive that long in teamfights. You saw right there, he was actually going for quite a considerable amount of time, but people weren't really focusing him because Ziviz jumped into that back line and tried to do some serious work. Actually did quite a lot of damage, believe it or not, but you're just seeing right now the FM lineup starting to struggle. Infused far stronger, you know, that in most lanes, I would say as well.
I think one thing as well that we've not really touched on, we've been singing Alfari's praises, but so far in this game is Poyok really doing the damage. He's 5-0-2. In that team fight, he was left to just run rampant. He could do whatever he wanted. He's already got himself a triple kill this game. He'll probably be looking for more multi-kills as well as we start to head what looks like towards the end of the game.
Honestly, my MVP so far would be Arfan as Maxwell gets caught out.
Maxwell is in a whole lot of trouble. The repel comes out, as does the ignite. Poyok trying to answer for this one. The Crescent Strike isn't going to land though, and Poyok might just be able to get away. There's the Lunar Rush onto Arfan. Any more auto attacks will finish this one off. He actually flashes. Ziviz picks up the kill in the end. In fact, it went over to Toaster. Charlie T with the Chaos Storm can't really do enough damage to take down Ziviz, and that is a good pick for FM.
Yeah, they managed to pick off Maxwell. They get 2 kills for themselves. And just as I was saying, Arfan was my MVP so far. I mean, this has been a pretty close series right up until the point where Arfan got that flash tibbers onto Toaster. That was the key turning point so far in this game. And that's what allowed Toaster to get the triple kill as Charlie T.
That was very close to Toaster going down, and actually he's going to go down anyway. Look at the burst coming out from Alfari. And it was, in fact, I think it was actually Ziviz that managed to grab himself the red buff off the back of that one, but just a free pickup onto the AD carry. Infused going to be very happy with that.
I mean, we haven't seen a proper full-on 5v5 where someone wasn't caught out, but I imagine what we just saw there is exactly what's going to happen to Toaster every single time that situation arises. And that's why I just don't think FM have what's... You know, their lineup isn't good enough to deal with the threats coming out from Infused. And especially, you know, we've talked about Poyok being, you know, absolutely solid this game, but I think for the most part, brilliant play.
Max Law, that was absolutely beautiful. Flashes over the wall, kicks, and then jumps back to smite the Baron. There's a couple of kills for Infused as well. 2 for 1 and another objective. I feel like I've said that multiple times this game. Infused just with a masterclass of how to snowball.
Yeah, and also it's a very methodical game from Infused. They are taking the advantages when they are due, and you're seeing here they're going to go straight forward, and they're going to go on to Nutri.
Yeah, should be able to walk away from this one. Just going to take a little bit of damage. And they are just going to siege onto this 2-2. I believe we have a quick replay
of the
last Baron fight.
I mean, the key thing here is this is something that Lee Sins do all the time. You jump over the wall, you kick the enemy jungler away, so there is absolutely 0 chance of a steal. You'll see it here. Actually, but the Baron had just gone down. But you see Kino was kicked off to the side, and then people had already committed to the pit and unfortunately just got taken out by the Infused lineup. But as a Lee Sin player, that is how you secure Baron for your team. You Sonic Wave the Baron, you jump over the wall with Safeguard, you kick the enemy jungler away, and then jump back onto the Baron to secure it. So you know if you've got the smite there, you should never be out-smited. And that's just, you know, exactly what Max Law did to secure the Baron right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Max Law, kind of one of the standout players from the UK, sort of got his foot in the door with the challenger scene as well. But Ziviz has been caught out once again. Alfari, he's not finished. He's looking for more. Kino going to flash over the wall, and it's going to be Tundra, the focused target here. Max Law looking to try and land the Sonic Wave. A nice little juke from Tundra will keep himself alive, but Ziviz, unfortunately, being caught out. This is going to open this bottom lane wide. This bottom lane wide for Infused as they push towards the inhibitor towers. They've got the Baron buff. They're going to be able to take this one.
This is probably going to be close to game, if I'm completely honest.
Nutri caught up by the stun. Oh, so close to the insect from Maxlaw. And actually, Maxlaw going to be taken down, so it turns into... Oh, the Gravity Well! Poyok so close to killing himself right there, except the Gravity Well was on his team as well. But either way, he's going to be able to flash out to safety. And this is going to be Arfan. He's stunned up Nutri, but actually the 4-man knock could happen here. He's only going to land onto Charlie T though, and Nutri's going to fall as well. That's the second inhibitor down. Infused going to be able to just walk away with this one. Ziv is looking to turn this into something more though. Arfan going to be slowed, waiting on Crescent Strike. It is going to be a kill for Toaster, who's looking to sweep up the fight. Poyok goes down for the double kill as well. And FM, at least they answer with something.
Yeah, they definitely get something off the back of that, but they have just lost probably one of the most key inhibitors in the game. It is that bottom lane, so that when the Baron comes back on the map, they will have pressure passively pushing towards their bot lane. lane, which will allow Infused to capitalize with either a top lane push for that final inhibitor turret or onto the Baron once again. However, FM are definitely still holding on here. There's a 7-2 Toaster, so the guy that they needed to carry definitely has the means to do so, but it's just whether he can survive in these full-on team fights, which I'm still really doubting is going to happen. Now, there are a couple of things that can happen here. Because of the way the minion changes work and the inhibitors going down, it is going to shovel more farm onto the FM lineup, which is good because they need the farm to ramp the Diana up and even more so ramp that Toaster's Jinx up. He's got 4 items now, believe it or not, so he's actually hitting a huge late game power spike here as the Jinx. But even with all that, I still think he's far too vulnerable of a target against a heavy damage dive composition coming out from Infused.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, they've been doing a fantastic job in these tower dives. They are now 9,000 gold ahead of Friendship is Magic.
Friendship is magic.
If they can continue.
Friendship is magic, Munch.
It certainly is.
I wouldn't know because I have no friends.
It's true. It's depressingly true. It's well, I'll be your friend, Scoundrel. Do you know what? I'll put my own feelings aside and I'll be your friend.
I think that's how most people feel about me.
I'm only kidding, but FM really struggling in this game so far. This is the point in the game, though, where Jinx is going to start to ramp up, as is Diana. They could potentially, if they can find a good Gnar ultimate, they could win a team fight here. If Diana can just execute Poilk, that could really turn the tide of this game.
For sure. I mean, once Poilk goes down, you take a large portion of the damage away, but Infused very, very often run these triple threat compositions, and this is exactly what it is. You know, you take one threat out, you've still got to deal with 2 more. Alphari has gone for that Ghostblade Dead Man's Plate build once again. He is a huge monster on that Hecker, and you cannot ignore him. He is almost as much of a threat as Poilk himself. And then you've still got to deal with Charlie T on this Victor, who's got the Rabadons as well as 2 other items. You know, he's got the Abyssal and I think that's the rank 2 or 3 hex score right there. So
that's the rank 3,
that's
yeah.
the rank 3 hex score.
There's a big issue right now for FM as well, is Nutri just went into Mega Gnar. He's now exhausted. If Infused just push now, they're going to be out of a Gnar ultimate. Look at that crit onto Poilk. That was 1/3 of his HP. But if they just push now while Nutri's exhausted, they could find themselves an inhibitor with relatively little congestion, but it looks like they're heading towards this top side of the map.
The thing about the Infused lineup is when they want to go for a team fight, they have to be decisive about it because they are an all-or-nothing team fight composition here. There is no in-between. Charlie T can poke a little bit with his lasers, but he's putting himself in range of getting Jinx rockets. And at this stage in the game, especially with rapid fire cannon, a singular Jinx rocket will start to really bloody hurt. And you know, you saw that. I think there was 1 Jinx rocket onto Poilk, and it took away, you know,
like 1/3 of his HP.
1/3 of his HP. And you know, you just can't allow that to happen.
And that's that double proc coming through as well, the Shiv rapid fire cannon, just with a crit on the auto attack as well. This is with just an Infinity Edge. Once he starts to get more AD coming in, he's only just picked up that last Whisper, so he's really, as you say, gonna start to hurt. And he's got 7 kills, let's not forget.
Oh yeah.
He is by no means behind. He's ahead in CS as well. I'd actually love to take a look at the gold numbers if we can, just to see how far or where this gold is distributed. Yeah, if you take a look at the AD carries, the gold is just about even. Right now, Toast has just as much potential to carry as Poilk.
You got to take into account that there's a 7 tower advantage for Infused. So you're basically sitting on about a 800 to 1,000 individual gold lead for every champion. You take away the towers, Toaster is probably 1,000 gold ahead of Poilk right now, which is huge for a team that is so considerably behind at 10k. And that just speaks volumes about how good Toaster is as an AD carry. And you can see Infused are now scared to really apply pressure. They're waiting for the Baron here. They want to make sure they secure it the old-fashioned way. They're not taking any chances. And I like this. It's respect to FM because, you know, and we talked about it previously. FM came into this. They were huge underdogs, even versus Choke. And now the best team in the UK is giving them a wide berth.
Yeah, absolutely. Max Law jumping forwards. Tundra is going to be able to blow everybody away, but Arfan right on the front line might just be going down. Zivis jumps to the back line, and he's going to be able to Zhonya's. It's 1-for-1 so far, but the AD carry is down for FM, as is the mid laner. This might just be lights, ladies and gentlemen. Poyle picks up a double kill for himself, flashes forward to try and finish off Nutri, searching for the crits, and he finally finds one. Triple kill comes into the hands of the AD carry, and it's going to be a mid lane inhibitor. Tundra is all on his own to try and defend these inhibs, but it's just not going to be doable. Alphari has pushed down in this bottom lane. There are super minions to boot, and at 31 minutes into the game, Team Infused are going to be able to take down these Nexus towers. They're looking for the first game in this series. FM Esports going to be going 0-1 up against Team Infused.
And that last fight right there was purely Max Law. There was a stun onto Toaster and a beautiful wall jump kick, pushing Toaster right into the path of the rampaging pony, and he was deleted. And like we said, if you take out Toaster, FM has nothing left in the bank, because the exhaust is always going to be there for Zivis. You don't even need to think about the exhaust for Jinx, because you're looking to delete her straight away with the composition that Infused are running. So then you have the exhaust for Zivis afterwards. That basically nullifies any threats that FM were bringing to the table. And without any threats, how are you going to win? Great display by Infused, and honestly, it really showed, as the analysts were talking about before, there was just a gulf of class difference between Infused and every other team in the UK right now. Infused are almost at that challenger level. Yep. They play like a challenger team, and I think that you're seeing it here. And I got to say, FM looked the closest to taking anything away from Infused that we've seen for a very long time. And for a team that brought in a Diamond 5 retired player, now poker pro, into the top lane, that speaks volumes that the strength of their team as a unit, but just isn't enough to take out the sort of might of the Infused lineup right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's delve into what happened in that game a little bit deeper as we pass over to Impaler, Brixton and Sona over on our analysis desk.
Hello, guys.